Hi everyone, there are times as a British person that I'm ashamed of what my country and my government does, especially if you look back in history at what we've done, but even recent history when you look back at how the government have handled the Windrush affair and how they years ago took advantage of all the tax loopholes and the not tax loopholes, the expenses scandal. There are many times where I've been ashamed of our government. This is one of those times. This is from the World Socialist website. It was in the Times on Sunday, but the Times have got a paywall, so there's no way I'm going to give them my money. What little of it I have. The headline is this: British and Ecuadorian authorities in talks to evict Julian Assange from London embassy. This is devastating for me, this is, and I'm God knows how it must feel for him, but this is one of those times where I'm ashamed to be British. The article says this: the London-based Times newspaper reported yesterday that the British and Ecuadorian governments have been holding secret discussions on plans to evict WikiLeaks editor Julian Assange from Ecuador's London embassy, where he sought political asylum 6 years ago. That's what, 6 years, over 6 years now. He's been locked in a house, no medical. He needs a root canal. He has done for years. He needs an MRI on his shoulder. He's obviously severely lacking, I would think, in vitamin. Is it vitamin C, or I think it's vitamin D because of lack of sunlight. His health must be terrible. Yeah, the government don't care. They couldn't give a shit. Alan Duncan was in the House of Commons saying, "Oh, we're going to take care of his health first." You couldn't give a shit about his health, Duncan. You piece of shit. I'll get to him in a minute. The article said the talks are an attempt to remove Assange from the embassy and are being conducted at the highest levels of government, with British Foreign Office Minister Sir Alan Duncan personally involved. Julian Assange, the greatest truth teller of our time, is locked up in an embassy, and there's an operation to get him at the moment, Operation Kudo, to grab him under this stupid pretense of him not handing himself over to authorities, when it was an obvious way they were just trying to get him. They were just trying to get him so that they could extradite him to America. Hillary Clinton had already said she wants to drone bomb him or something like that, or maybe that was afterwards. He's locked up in an embassy, and Alan Duncan, that piece of shit, he gets a knighthood. Sir Alan Duncan. I'm disgusted with my government sometimes. It's not, I suppose it is my government. The report is the latest indication of a conspiracy involving the British, the US and Ecuadorian governments to terminate Assange's political asylum in violation of international law and force him into UK custody. Let me say that again. The report is the latest public indication of a conspiracy involving the British, US and Ecuadorian governments to terminate Assange's political asylum in violation of international law and force him into UK custody. How many times have our governments, the US and the UK, in the last, take the last 6 months, been invoking, oh, it's against international law? How many times have they stood up and said that? With regards to Syria, for instance. How many times do they say, oh, it's against international law, it's terrible? It's so hypocritical, it's unreal. The major powers are determined to prosecute the WikiLeaks editor for his organisation's role in exposing US-led war crimes and diplomatic intrigues around the world. The Times noted that the talks have been taking place prior to a British visit by Ecuadorian President Lenin Moreno, scheduled for the end of this month. Since elections this year, Moreno has escalated the rightward turn initiated by his predecessor, Rafael Correa. He is deepening economic and military ties with the US and Britain, and has denounced Assange as a hacker, a stone in our shoe, and our inherited problem. The Times report included further indications of the immense pressure that has been placed on the Ecuadorian government by the US and Britain. It cited sources close to Assange who said that the US threatened to scuttle a major loan from the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, to Ecuador if Quito did not expel Assange from its embassy. Well, what a frigging surprise. Colour me shocked that the Americans and the British government are putting pressure on a South American country by using the IMF. What a surprise. Every frigging time without fail. Last month, US Vice President Mike Pence travelled to Ecuador as part of a broader regional tour aimed at shoring up Washington's faltering dominance in Latin America. The talks publicly centred on drawing Ecuador into the US economic and military campaign against Venezuela. There is little doubt, however, that the persecution of Assange was a prominent item on its closed room discussions. You think, Denoza? On the eve of Pence's departure, get this, if you're in America, just get this, on the eve of Pence's departure, 10 prominent Democratic Party senators issued an open letter calling on the Vice President to demand that Moreno oust Assange. Can I rephrase that sentence and be a little bit crude? On the eve of Pence's departure, 10 prominent Democratic Party senators pulled down their pants and shit all over the First Amendment. Because that's what they did. He's a frigging journalist. 10 million documents WikiLeaks have published over the years. 10 million. Do you know how many have been proven to be false? 0. There was a time last year when this Russiagate nonsense was absolutely constant, and Rachel Maddow was talking about it every second of the day. She still is. But there was a time last year where CNN, Fox and NBC, you couldn't go 10 minutes without one of them having to retract a statement. They have published 10 million documents and never had to retract a goddamn thing. Just imagine that. That's just what they've published. Okay? Imagine how many times there's been some sort of operation to try and get Assange to publish documents or WikiLeaks to publish documents that are false in order to discredit them. Just try and get your head around that. I don't know the figures. I'm not sure WikiLeaks would ever tell us, but I'm pretty sure it goes on every single goddamn month, if not day. People are trying to get them to publish false documents, so they must have to check the sources and recheck the sources. As a journalistic enterprise, it must be absolutely mind-boggling the level of detail they must go into to making sure that over 10 million documents are accurate and true. On the eve of Pence's departure, 10 prominent Democratic... Oh, I've already read that bit. The Ecuadorian... Oh no, where did I get to? Oh yeah, this brazen call for the state persecution of a political refugee was an indication of a feverish campaign in United States ruling circles to force Assange into their clutches, in violation of international law. I could have said that every frigging sentence of this article, and just at the end of it just said, in violation of international law. The Ecuadorian government has repeatedly bowed to the demands of the major powers. In March, it cut off Assange's internet access and his right to receive visitors, aside from the occasional legal briefings, in an attempt to create conditions so intolerable that he will voluntarily leave the embassy. According to WikiLeaks associates, Ecuador has developed a hostile climate for Assange within the building, including by instructing embassy staff not to approach or speak to him. Just in case you're not aware of this, this is torture. This is why I feel ashamed of this is one of the main reasons why I feel ashamed of our government right now and being British, because we're all like, oh no, we don't torture people, and then obviously it just comes out that, hey, we were complicit in torture of Abu Ghraib and the Patriot Act with America, and we're doing it right now in full view of everyone. What are the media saying? Sod all. Nothing. What are the Guardian doing? Writing hit pieces on him. What are the BBC doing? Just following the government line as usual. All of the major publications are the same in this country. None of them are sticking up for him. None of them have got a backbone. And it's the same in America. You've got one or two publications, one or two major publications that are sticking up for him. Other than that, crickets. So Moreno, the summit will be held in London at Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park on 24th of July 2018. This is important, okay? Honestly, if I had the money and I had the means, I would go down there myself. I really would. If I had the money to get there, I would. I'm about 120 miles away, and because I'm a greenie, if you like, I don't have a car. This is where Moreno's going to be next week, 23rd and 24th. I'm really hoping that somebody can really organise a protest of the size that we saw a few days ago when Trump came to this country. 250,000 people. And really shine a fucking light on this, because it's disgusting. You can probably tell by my voice, I'm physically upset about this. I really am. The guy is a hero of mine. And he should be of yours as well. If you can do, I would say get in touch with people on Twitter, such as from the Unity4J, I think the Twitter handle is. I'll put it down there, and it's a good place to start with regards to any protests that are going to be organised, because I'm pretty sure that there's going to be protests organised with Moreno coming on next week to London. We've got to make this huge. We've got to at least try to make it huge. And with Julian Assange there, I'm not going to rattle on for this video too long. I'm too upset, to be quite honest. I can't think straight. I'm so angry, upset about this. The only thing I keep thinking of with Assange being on his own, and I'm going to end the video on this. I don't know whether anybody knows this for sure, but I really hope he's still got access to the embassy cat. I really do. It's disgusting the way we're treating him. And I'll repeat it. I'm ashamed to be British right now. And if you're in Britain, so should you be. If you enjoyed this video, please click the bell down there and subscribe so you get a notification of next time I drop a video. Also, I can't do this without your help, so if you can afford it and you enjoy my videos, please support the channel by subscribing to my Patreon. Link is down there. You can do it for as little as $1 a month, and it really does help. If you can't afford it, that's fine. Please share my work and talk to other people about the issues that I bring up. Thanks very much for your support. Until next time. Peace and take care.